سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين. أما بعد، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. The next step in Hajj is the wearing of Ihram. The cloth that we wear, and it is wajib for us to wear, is called Ihram, which is comprised of two clothes. One is a loin cloth which we wear, like a lungi, or a cloth which will cover us from the navel up to down the knees. And the other cloth is what we will put on our shoulders. For men, it is wajib that the cloth is not stitched. It must be unsewn and unstitched clothes. For women, of course, the ladies, the dress they wear can be ihram. They don't have to have what we wear, but it must not be of silk. Although ladies are normally allowed to wear silk, Ihram cannot be of silk, even for ladies. It has got to be a common cloth, and it must not be of any hide or skin. It must be of cloth. Now, if you look at the philosophy of this, you'll find that it resembles what we give normally in kafan. That we have given him a loin cloth, and one qamis, and one chadar. These three things are wajib components of kafan. Here, for chadar and qamis, there is a cloth over the shoulder, and one is the loin cloth. It reminds us of having entered a state which is called a state of now death. And it is for this reason, if you look into those 25 or 24 things which become haram upon us during Ihram, you'll find some of those things are such which normally a living person would not do. Like looking at the mirror. Looking at the mirror itself is not haram. But while you are in Ihram, you will not look at the mirror, because you are just at that particular moment not in this life, you are in a different life. Or when there is a good smell, you will not enjoy it, and when there is a bad smell, you will not run away from it. And if there is an insect on your body, you will not kill it, or you will not even pluck your hair. Now you find all these things, you will not even pluck the grass in the haram. All these things are such which give us an idea that we are in a different state now. Those things which are normal in our day-to-day living life are now abandoned for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is the reason why, that when we go for Ihram, the attention must be towards what we will say at the time of Talbiyah. Because putting on or donning the two garments does not mean anything except when we make a niyyah. And when we make a niyyah, we say that now that I have put on Ihram, and the niyyah is either for Ihram, for Umrah, or for Hajj, whatever be the case, and Qurbatan ilallah, immediately we say Labbaik, Allahumma Labbaik, Labbaik, La Sharika Laka Labbaik. Labbaik, as I said earlier, is to say, I have come, I am here in response to your call, I am at your disposal. Oh Allah, I have come. There is no God but you. There is no Allah. There is no one to be worshipped but you. Labbaik. 4 times Labbaik is supposed to be said. Now, when we say this, that lies the philosophy of Hajj and the beginning of Hajj. If we are conscious of what we have said, then all acts of Hajj will follow what we have said then. But if we forget, or we just do it as a ritual, then the following rituals of Hajj will have also the same effect on it. Because people do not understand what they said then. At that particular moment, which is called a place which is called miqat. Miqat is just like a place of destiny, a place of tryst or a tryst, where there's an appointment to meet. And here you have come to say that now I begin, whether it is in Juhfa or if you have gone to Medina first, then it is at Masjid al-Shajara, from which we cannot pass without wearing ihram, and we will remove all the clothes and put this cloth on, one loin cloth and one on our shoulder, and just as we tie the knot, we say labbaik, Allahumma labbaik, labbaik la sharika laka labbaik. To give an example of what happens then and how important is that particular event is Imam Jafar Sadiq salawatullah alayhi. This riwayah is reported of him and also of Imam Hassan alayhi salam. Both of them, we have got the report of both. That when he came for Hajj and when he reached this place of Miqat and he said labbaik Allahumma labbaik, Imam alayhi salam started trembling, shivering actually. And somebody looked at Imam and said, Mawla, something is happening to you. He said, I have said labbaik. Allah knows I might be answered with la labbaik. No, we didn't want you to be here. Because of what I have done in my life, that is it. My friends, it may be very, very easy to travel to Umrah and Hajj from this country, sometimes even every month. But it is not a tourist expedition. It is not simply because we are going to a particular place and there is a stopover, therefore let us make also Umrah. It is something where we have got to realize that Umrah or Hajj is very important. It's not only tourism. And that is what Imam alayhi salam has said in Nahjul Balagha, that Ya Allah, you kept those places in a country where there is no greenery, most of it is a desert, so that people may not say tomorrow that I'm going there to see the beauty of the country, for the country is not beautiful. It is mountainous, it has scarcity of water sometimes, and the weather is also unkind. But you kept it there to test that only those will come who come with the pure intentions. Therefore, at that particular moment of wearing the ihram, let us be very careful and conscious of what we are saying. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us that tawfiq. We were on a very important episode in the life of Hazrat Yusuf alayhi salam, salam upon him and upon our Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. In the last episode, when I completed this day before yesterday, I said that the ladies of Misr started gossiping that the wife of the minister of Misr has been infatuated by her own slave, and then she arranged for a meeting, she called them, she summoned them, and after that she gave them knives in their hands and said, as Yusuf passed by and came forth, they looked at Yusuf and they said, oh, this does not seem to be a human being, this must be a noble angel. And by looking at him, they cut their own hands and fingers. But then, the gossip does not stop, as you know. And Hazrat Yusuf immediately felt that up till now I had only one problem, that was Zulaykha. Now all these women will create numberless problems. Because in Tafsir we get that every woman present there started thinking of getting married to Yusuf. Here, Mullah Muhsin Faith Kashani rahmatullah alayhi in Tafsir of Surah writes one thing beautiful. He says, and this has also been quoted by Sayyid Muhammad Tabatabai in Al-Mizan also. He said, he has complimented, saying that this is very nice. He says that when man decides in this life to work, this I say for all of us, for ladies and gents, especially for my upcoming young men and young women, when you decide upon doing something good for humanity or for religion, do not at all be concerned about what they say. Because remember the philosophy, and it is really one that gives us courage to go on working. Because if the times are good for you, people will praise you for things you do not do. وَكَمْ مِنْ فَنَاءٍ جَمِيلٍ لَسْتُ أَهْلًا لَهُ نَشَرْتَ. That is in Dua Kumail. Oh Allah, how many beautiful praises of which I deserved nothing, yet you made it current and popularized it. I haven't done it. When the times are good, people talk about you and attribute things to you which you have not done. Some good things. Mullah Sahib did this, Mullah Sahib did that. He might not have done it, but times are good. So people concoct. But when the times are adverse and bad, then even certain good things you have done, people will say, no. He did not do it. I did it. Or so and so did it. And when the times are bad, you cannot stop. One second thing, you can never lock people's mouths. Can you? He says that for Yusuf, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a witness that he was clean. Number one. Zulaykha herself is a witness that he was clean too. The husband of Zulaykha was also convinced that Yusuf was innocent. 3. That young witness from the cradle gave a witness that Yusuf was innocent. Yet the ladies of Egypt said that there must be something. Ta nabashat cheezaki mardum naguyand cheezha. Unless there must be something, otherwise people would not say many things. There must be something to prompt people to say many things. So he says, if Yusuf had to decide upon what they say, he would have been totally lost. He has got to see what is his own relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If it is innocent and clean, go ahead. If it had not been like that, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was labeled as a madman. Majnoon. Quran says, people say he is a madman. He was labeled as bewitched. That means somebody has done something like jadoo or anything. He is bewitched. He was labeled as useless poor man who was seeking popularity. He was labeled as anything that you might imagine, including a useless poet. If he were to listen to what people say, then the mission would not have gone forward. But the mission single-mindedly goes ahead. If you have to ignore, you must ignore. And remember, the genius lies in ignoring that which is immaterial and unimportant. If you can ignore that, you will work. If you cannot ignore, then life becomes miserable. And this is what he has written, and I think it is a beautiful hint for every one of us who wants to work. Let us take an example. The president of the Jamaat stands up and works for the Jamaat. People say, he is not right. The people in the madrasa who give us services, we say it's not right. Mukhi Sahib does some work, we say is not right. If one day Mukhi Sahab is told that the food that we get is cold, it means that for 29 nights we have eaten good warm food, we forgot. For one night we received something cold, Mukhi must be told. Now if Mukhi Sahib were to listen to these things, tomorrow he will tender his resignation. But he has got to go ahead. If I give you 10 pieces of badam, almonds, out of which 9 are sweet and 1 is bitter, which will you remember? No, never. If you remember the sweet one, then you are an angel. Your tongue will give witness from morning till evening that there was 1 bitter almond in there. You have devoured all the 9. But the one is very important. But you have got to go ahead. It's one thing. Second thing is, that it is really very important that we in this world and in our lives decide and understand fully that Gunah, Kabira or Saghira is not a joke. Allahu Akbar. May Allah save us from those sins. Now when I talked about women must have felt very much offended about it. But as I have made it clear that it was not particularly for our ladies and for any other ladies, we talk about women in general. It was for this reason that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His ultimate wisdom kept what is called the hukum of parda, the veil, which we consider to be orthodox. And till today, more than 50% still do not wear hijab. Many have said, I have said, many ulama kiram, may Allah keep them, have said, it just goes onto the deaf ears. But the fact is that there are 3 stages of parda which people should understand. It is not only the dress which is parda. It is not only the dress which is hijab. The dress is in the 3rd place. In the first instance, hijab is exchange of glances. Nazar. Allah says, tell mu'mineen to cast down their glances. When I go out, ladies may pass with hijab, without hijab. Cast down your glances. Do not look at them, except those who are mahram. Your daughter, your sister, mother, your family. It's all right. And all those elderly ladies who have passed the age of parda. Of course. Then they are just like our mothers. Otherwise, do not. And tell the mu'minat, that means the ladies, to cast down their glances. Because there begins the fasad. And we think that no, it does not. But it begins. The fasad begins there. The second thing is the dress. That it must be worn in such a loose way that the body shape is not seen. The scarf is not the hijab alone. The scarf is a part of the hijab where the hair is concealed, but the body right from neck to the feet has got to be in a dress which is loose so that it does not show the body shape. Ayatollah Al-Khoury says this much of face and 2 hands up to the wrists can be shown, But if even that gives out any cause for fasad, then even that must be concealed. Finally, the third thing is free mixing. Free mixing means a lady is in hijab, and people, men and women, will meet openly because they say, Mullah Sahab, hijab much, lady is in hijab. Well, to a certain extent it may be all right, but hijab or a dress that she has worn still keeps her a human person. She doesn't become an angel. And the glances are exchanged, and sometimes a fitna begins there. And when I say this, I say with all conviction, because I know what happens. I know what has happened. And I know so many things which cannot be revealed. But I know. We are trying to justify things, well, I know what is happening. In the name of hijab. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala kept this, why He kept this? Because your family, or your wife, for example, your sister, your daughter, is a mark of prestige and integrity and respect and izzat for you. No one has a right to nurse anything that is dirty against somebody else's wife, or somebody else's daughter, or somebody else's family. That integrity is infringed upon if we don't allow these things. And this is exactly what this ayah of Quran and what this particular story of Quran is trying to tell, that what can come out of it. Had it not been for Yusuf, anybody else would have been indulging in a sin. Yusuf alayhi salam showed us the way of how. What he did was, he ran. The running to the door is actually a symbol that when I am put into a particular situation, then for me it is to run away. To run away. Majlis al-Rahma writes in Jalal al-Uyun that when Hazrat Nuh alayhi salam was asked to prepare that ark, which is called Noah's Ark, and people are asked to embark upon it so that they can be saved from the deluge, water coming from all sides, only 11 people joined him. The rest said, we will seek refuge on the mountain. His own son did not join. His own son said, I'll go on the top of the mountain. And Quran says, Nuh told him, no one will be saved except those who are on this ark. Yet he did not listen. Everybody was drowned. Shaitan, he knew that this is the day, so he came to Hazrat Nuh and said, will you allow me a seat? Nuh said, well, you can, because Allah has already given you a lease of life, as Quran says. So you may have, but don't mix with the people. Huh? Go there and sit alone. When finally the deluge of water subsided and everything was normal, when he was about to disembark, he came to Hazrat Nuh and said, Ya Nuh, I must pay you back and thank you for allowing me to say. I mean, even Shaitan knows gratitude. Even Shaitan knows what is the meaning of being grateful. He said, I must say thank you. And you are a prophet. I don't have to teach you, but I know something. I must tell you what I know. He said, what? He said, there are occasions when you will think that you are doing good, but I am there. I am there. One, never think or never believe that if you eat to your fill, you will be able to do ibadah. No. When you sit on the sufra, I always say, one more. Oh, you have been fasting for the whole day. One more. And then when you are full, then you say, inshallah, I will read Quran. Or I will pray 100 rakat. Or I will rise for namaz isha. It is impossible. Ya Nuh, it is impossible for how I enter into you through your stomach. One, so never believe. Secondly, when two na-mahrams sit together and they say, "Ye to munji behna hai. She's my sister. I have made her my sister." Never believe that. For they are not two, the third one, I am there always. Always. Always I'm there. Na-mahram, to sit with na-mahram. I am there. And therefore, the question arises, and it's a very, very important question, that look at the plight of our students in mixed schools today, in England, for example. When a young boy who has been not told anything by his parents or by madrasa teachers, a rising young boy who is now getting into manhood, goes to a school, next to him is sitting a girl who is coming from a different culture, from a different religion, and one morning or evening she very innocently tells, "Will you date me?" It's happening. It's happening. And what is going to be the result of it is, of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's concern, not my concern, because I have only got to pray. But I say that when the culture is rising as an onslaught and an attack against Islam and its teachings, we are coming to a stage where it's difficult to create any barrage against the rising tide. And this is the reason why I said some times back that we have got to intervene and say, and tell our people, our young people especially, that there are things which we will do and there are things which we will not do. Zulaykha finally says, قالت فذلكن الذي لمتنني فيه ولقد راودته عن نفسه فاستعصم ولئن لم يفعل ما آمره ليسجنن وليكون من الصاغرين. Even then, although Zulaykha accepted and admitted her own guilt, she was not repentant then. She said to the ladies, "Well, you have cut your hands, haven't you? So this is what you were taunting me for. Is it not justified that I was infatuated by Yusuf? All of you have cut your fingers. And now, I tell you that it was I who tried to solicit him and seduce him. He came out very clean. Fastasam. He came out very clean. He saved himself from it. But if he is not going to follow my desire, then he will be soon in the prison and he will be forgotten and humiliated." So, the trial of Yusuf is not over. From the well to Zulaykha, and from Zulaykha to the prison for the remaining 9 years. Tomorrow, inshallah. Wassalamu alaikum.